it's the motherhood penalty that really sort of screws women over. Because their earnings drop so much. So they drop around 42% within 5 years of having their first child, and an average loss of £65,000 after their first child alone.
We were both made redundant, and our head was put on the chopping board because I said that I was pregnant. And it was like, that's the easiest out. Get the managers out kind of thing.
I don't envy anyone in this situation. It's the hardest thing I've ever had to go through because it just consumes you.
Hi, and welcome to Accelerating Your Wealth with your host, myself, Rebecca Robertson. I'm an independent financial advisor and wealth coach. I'm the director of Evolution Financial Planning, who is also our sponsor for today's show. Don't forget to like, subscribe, share and review this episode. With your help, we'll reach more people who can benefit from the show. Quick one before we get back to it. If these conversations are landing for you, we've made something to help you go deeper. It's a short quiz. You answer a few questions and it tells you where to focus, then builds you a playlist of every relevant episode so you're not hunting through the whole back catalogue. Investing, divorce, business, there are 9 areas to land in. The link's below. Hi and welcome to today's show. I'm your host Rebecca Robertson, and today I have a lovely Elizabeth Willetts with me today, and let me introduce you to her. Hello, Elizabeth.
Hello, nice to meet you.
Yes, well, great to meet you, and thank you so much for coming in to see me today. So you're the founder of Investing in Women, a female empowering job board and community helping family-friendly and forward-thinking employers hire professionals looking for fulfilling, flexible and part-time work. You are an experienced recruiter with over 19 years of experience, both in-house at the Big Four and one of the UK's largest recruitment agencies. Elizabeth also is a mum of 2 daughters, Emily and Annabelle, and a Labradoodle called Dougal. Love the name. You are a believer in the power of part-time and flexible work to retain women in the workplace and close the gender pay gap. Her debut book, Flex, is a dynamic guide for anyone wanting to build a successful career on their terms, which I've got on my lap. It looks like this. So thank you for joining me today.
Oh, thank you for having me.
And we're going to be talking about investing in women, which is obviously something that you're obviously really passionate about. That's your career's been founded around it. But let's just take us back and tell me about where your career started yourself.
Yeah, so my career started at one of the world's largest recruitment agencies back in 2007, so just before the credit crunch. And I recruited qualified accountants into banks, so retail banks in London, in the city, where we're recording now, was where I spent my early career. And then I moved with the same agency into HR recruitment as well before moving in-house.
So what was about that job that you loved?
Oh, I loved it. I loved being in the city. I loved feeling like I'd made it. I came from Huddersfield, a small village outside Huddersfield, and I just came and it was all these big buildings. Everyone was dressed really smart. Conversations were really fast paced. It was a really dynamic, buzzing office. And I really liked that environment, and I liked the people I worked with, and I learned so much in that job, more than I'd learned, I think, in all my years of education. That first year was just amazing. And I was actually really good at it as well. And it was actually felt really nice to fall into something that you were quite good at. And
did you ever think that's what you would do?
No, I never, ever would have thought. I mean, to be honest, who grows up thinking they want to work in recruitment? Nobody. And I just knew I wanted to work in London. That's all I wanted to do. But I'd gone to Sheffield Hallam University. I'd done something. I never knew what I wanted to do at school. I'd been a bit of like a drifter, really. I'd just done some odd thing. Like I did my GCSEs. I didn't like school. I did my GCSEs. Didn't know what I wanted to do. Mum and Dad said, go to college. So I went to college, did performing arts. Because I did quite like drama at school, and for a bit I thought I'm going to be an actress, so I did performing arts at school, and then thought, no, that's not for me, because I don't think I can deal with the rejections, auditions. I don't think I can deal with, if I end up in theatre, like travelling all the time and being away from home, so I was sort of thinking long term. And so then I just thought, right, I'll go to university, because everyone went to university. There wasn't the horrendous tuition fees that there are now, so went to university, and I did events management because I I thought I like going out. I was 17, 18. You know, when you're making that decision, I was like, yeah, I like going out. I want to be a party planner because Wedding Planner was on at the cinema, you know, with Jennifer Lopez. I was like, I'm going to be Jennifer Lopez and organise these great weddings. But it put me off because there was loads of like risk assessment and health and safety.
Right.
It wasn't as creative as I thought it was going to be. So, yes, I didn't know what I wanted to do. I thought I want to work in London. I want to work in a bank because you can earn money in a bank. So I was applying to all these grad schemes, but obviously my education had been a bit checkered up until that point.
Not the same as like working in banking.
Yeah, so not somebody like, obviously they're getting applications from like Oxbridge people and then mine. So I didn't get a call for any of those grad schemes. But then I was on the Milk Round website. I don't know if you remember that.
Someone's mentioned that, the Milk Round.
Yeah, it was like a grad job board, I guess, grads. And then I saw this work in the city and earn up to £30,000 in your first year. And I was like, wow, yeah, I'll do that. So I applied and had the interview, and it was at that point they were in Canary Wharf, but they were in Canary Wharf, but it was like at the back of Canary, you know, it wasn't all in the glitzy building. But I was like, as soon as I met the guy, you know, you just meet somebody, I was like, yeah, this is going to suit me. And then they offered me, and I interviewed some other places as well. But, you know, just when you click with somebody, I was like, yeah. So, and then by the time I started in the July, they'd moved to Moorgate.
Nice.
Yeah.
So I guess, you know, being like you wanted to work in drama, and then there was events organiser, there's certain skill sets around that actually I can see it leading to recruitment. The skill sets sort of follow through in terms of you need to get to know people, you need to be able to listen to people, you need to be able to understand what people's needs are, and then obviously from an organisation perspective, organising all the different parties, lots of sort of similar skill sets.
I guess, yeah.
But what was it from a financial perspective? Just talk a little bit about your own sort of position in the psychology around money up till that point. What was your thoughts or feelings around earnings? Or
I liked earning because I'd always had a job.
Okay.
I'd had a job. As soon as I could get a job, I got a paper round because I liked having money. I liked being able to go out.
Yeah.
And I mean, I didn't save it at that. You know, when I was a teenager, I just would work in a cafe and then go out and spend it that night. But I liked having money and being able to spend it and do what I wanted with it, and not have to ask my mum and dad for like pocket money all the time, and being able to go to the cinema and buy clothes and
do it.
Yeah, it was empowering, really. Yeah. So I've always had a job.
Yeah. Do you sort of on the financial independence for women kind of side of things? Yeah. I guess with the sort of job that you do now, you see how going part-time or certainly not going back to work. Do you think that's disempowering for women?
Sometimes, yeah. I think it depends on your relationship, and I think it depends on who you're with and how you organise your finances. But I know of some women that obviously earn less than their partner, particularly if they go part-time, and then feel like they don't like asking their husband for money, or their husband is really mean and doesn't, you know, give them money, or, you know, I've known where they make them still go halves and halves, even though they're earning less. And it is tricky.
Yeah. I mean, from what you've experienced, and probably the women that you've spoken to over the years, from a sort of that disempowering and career perspective, if someone was listening that was maybe considering to have children, what advice would you give them?
Well, if you want children, you want children, don't you? And I think, and I say this as a mum and someone that's struggled to have children, and yeah, I mean, there's always trade-offs in anything, and I think when you have children, I think there is this thing that you can have it all, but maybe not all at the same time, and some things have to give. And, you know, there is some people that continue their careers full throttle, but then they may have to get full-time childcare, a nanny. There's other people that don't want that. And it becomes trickier when you've had children because there is always trade-offs, and you have to think really carefully about what is important to you and what kind of person you want to be, what kind of mum you want to be, what kind of woman you want to be. And, it, you know, before kids, there's not all that consideration. You can just do what you want, can't you?
Yeah, 100%. So from your career perspective, I know when we spoke on the phone, you loved earning money when you were, and you loved that environment of earning money when you was in recruitment and the salaries that you earn. So just talk to me a little bit about like what motivated you around that.
I loved it because I loved the environment, because I guess it's an environment that if you don't do well in it, you're probably not going to enjoy it, because it is that quite competitive environment. And everyone thinks recruitment is HR, and it's not. Recruitment is sales. It's sales, and actually I really did enjoy sales, and I do enjoy sales, and I loved that. I actually loved some months I didn't know if I was having a bad month, but I loved generally that there was boards up, you put your figures on there, you could see what your target was, you could see you were working towards something, you could see how you ranked. And I never would have considered myself a competitive person before, but actually I quite liked feeling I was in a bit of a race with people, and I really liked making deals. I really, really got excited. And, you know, if a candidate said yes and you knew it was a big commission, that to me was exciting.
Yeah, definitely. A lot of women I speak to, like if they're business owners, they hate sales. Actually, it's almost like the complete reverse of everything you've just said.
Yeah.
Because it feels like selling is something bad in some way. That selling is like maybe you're selling your soul, or, you know, you're selling something that people don't want or need. And even if you've got some people are offering something and the person wants it, they go, no, please let me have it. And the person that's selling it, trying to find all these different obstacles. Well, I could give you a freebie for half an hour, or I could do this for you. They're almost like scared to sell because they don't want to come across like they're in some way demeaning the other person, or something quite, I don't know, car salesman about it.
Yeah.
There's a real psychology against selling, and which I don't believe in. It's not something that I think. I used to work in a bank, and we had targets, and those targets they felt okay because you had so many conversations over the counter, and you was expected, if you spoke to 100 people, you'd expected to book a couple of appointments. I don't really think that's enabling people to enhance their financial position. But then when I worked for a brokerage, and I was a mortgage broker at one point, we'd go and see clients, and we might be doing a mortgage for them, and then we had targets to sell insurance. And that's when it started to feel different.
Yeah, a bit icky because you're selling something that you're not,
And because that was the difference between advice and selling. And actually, no, the advice was that they didn't need that insurance. So actually sales shouldn't even come into it. So I think it does depend in my role in financial services where it comes from. But for now, when I've enabled a client to help them save money or invest their money, which ends up making them money, it's not I don't class it as selling, because it's very much about that positioning. But there is positioning around it, there is a sales process, there is a marketing process to it all, but I just find it really fascinating how some people are almost like there's like a fear of money. Like they're repelling money.
Oh, is it more of a fear of rejection though? Because sales is rejection. Like you said, it's 100 calls to get 2 yeses. Potentially. You're getting 98 no's. And that is quite, you have to have a certain, I don't want to say strength of character, because, you know, people are strong, but you have to have a resilience. And you have to, in the end, know it's not actually about the result, it's about the process. It's about making those 100 calls, knowing that you'll get 2 yeses. And you get better at that.
You described not doing acting because of the rejection. So what was the difference in that rejection to this rejection in a career sense?
I don't know, really.
Was it more personal with acting?
I think it's much more personal acting, Whereas, particularly, I think working for somebody else as well, you're not selling, you know, I do another job where I'm selling something that's nothing to do with, you know, not what I've founded. So it's much, much less personal.
Whereas maybe some of these business women, when they're selling something that's personally to them, that they're passionate about.
It feels a little bit of a rejection to them. And it's then, it's almost like I find they sometimes put people off. Like they don't realise that's what they're doing. But they're through that sort of energy kind of barrier, they're naturally making it harder for the person to buy, which obviously is all to do with money, because as you pointed out, the more sales you make, the more commission you earn, the more you can create wealth. And also, I like buying.
Right.
Don't we like, I mean, who doesn't like making a nice, who doesn't like saving up for something and buying it?
Yeah, I think if you're buying, like, you know what to save for. I think if you know what that goal is, or if you've got savings that you've earned and you go, I'm going to go and treat myself
to something.
I mean, women, we're very good at that.
So I think if we like buying, then surely we must have to like selling as well.
Sure.
And, you know, I agree with you about the insurance. I wouldn't want to sell something to anybody
Yeah.
that they didn't need.
Yeah.
Or, you know, you felt that you're forcing somebody to buy something that wasn't
Yeah.
right for them. I would not like that. It has to
Yeah,
always
that was
feel
really
quite,
icky.
yeah, it has to feel ethical.
Yeah.
And you have to know that it's in the best interest
Yeah.
for that person. But if it is in the best interest for that person, then why?
They want a job, so and
Exactly.
you're offering them a job, so it's a win-win.
It's a win-win, and the employer wants to hire somebody. So
Yeah, love
to
it.
me, I was like, yeah, it's just a win-win.
So what happened after that? You were like this career woman, loved your job.
Yeah, I loved it. And then I got married. Basically, I've had a very meandering career path. So before I got married, I went and had my colours done. This is years ago. This is like 2011, 10, 11.
I wonder where this is going.
It was very random. So I went and had my colours done, and I don't know if you've heard of it, where they hold up different swatches at you and say, "You look good in this colour."
I love the red on you today.
Thanks, yeah. So I did that, and I was like, "Oh my god, I love this. You can work from home. It's like a franchise." And I knew I was getting married later that year, and I knew I wanted children. And I'd been raised by a stay-at-home mum, and I knew that I was a career person then, but I knew when I had kids, I wanted to be a stay-at-home mum. That was all I wanted to be.
Got it.
And so I was like,
what appealed to you about that? Because that's a big contrast.
Yeah.
Like what was it? Because that's what your mum did.
That's what my mum had done.
Right. So it felt like that's what you should do.
Yeah.
And that's what you wanted to do.
That's what I wanted to do. Yeah.
Yeah.
I didn't want to be. And no shame on anyone, but I didn't want to be a mum that would put the kids in childcare 8 till 6, Monday to Friday.
Yeah.
I never wanted to be that. Now, but my job in recruitment was very much 8 till 6.
Yeah, long hours.
Long hours. You had to be in. You know, this was before people worked from home. You had to be in. Before people got to work, so they could answer the phone.
Yeah.
Stay after they finished work, so they could answer the phone, etc. So,
long days.
So I knew it wasn't really compatible with kids. So, I did this. Yeah. Got my colours done. I was like, I'm going to go become a colour image consultant. I'm going to become a personal stylist. So I left my job. It was so spare of the moment. I left it and I was like, I'm going to retrain as a beauty therapist. But I thought I can work for myself then as well. And that had always been, when I was a kid, I'd really wanted to work for myself. I'd had like little sweet shops at the end of the drive. I pretended to set up a wedding dress shop in my garage and...
Really entrepreneurial.
Very entrepreneurial, yeah. And then, so I retrained. We moved to Stansted village in Essex. Literally, my poor husband, I persuaded him to buy this house that was not very, and because it had a studio down, it was like a townhouse, but it had a studio on the ground floor with like a bathroom. So I was like, that's going to be my beauty therapy room and my personal styling room. And bless him, he just went along with it. We literally bought a house for this dream of mine, and then so I started it and I loved it and did it for like a year and a half. And I would have carried on. Do you know, I'd probably still be doing it now, but we were trying for a baby and I didn't fall pregnant and couldn't fall pregnant. And I just found it really tough in the end because it was such a female, obviously, environment because I was getting just women. I mean, I got a few men coming for waxing, but I was mostly women. And they'd always be like, have you got any children? Are you trying for a baby?
That's the whole conversation. You're working from home. Yeah.
And I was like, you don't get that conversation in a corporate office.
Yeah.
And it felt like a death of 1,000 cuts like every time. And I was like, I can't deal with this.
And
I would be going up, and I wasn't that. I was busy, but not like really busy. You know, so I'd have a bit of downtime and I'd be Googling and, you know, and I thought I need to go back.
You need to get back into it.
Because I was like, at that point, we'd been trying a little bit. I was like, I don't know if it's going to happen or not. And so I went back.
And you've got a busy brain. Like you're like switched on, that entrepreneurial kind of spirit. And if you've lost that and you're then finding yourself like idling.
It was a nightmare.
Yeah, that mentally is really hard.
I wasted so many hours just Googling symptoms on Mum's Net. Just, going on all the chat forums, blah, blah, blah. I went back and went back literally to my old job and it was okay, but my heart wasn't quite in it because I felt sad.
Yeah.
I didn't want to be there. I would cry in the morning.
You'd want to be at home.
I wanted to be at home with a baby. And I thought I failed. And I remember me and my husband were getting the train. It was so early because we'd moved out of London then. We're getting the train at like 7. I'd be crying on the platform.
Oh, bless you.
You know, I felt that was my sad. I'd ring up my mum at lunchtime and go around St Paul's, the churchyard, and I'd be crying. So I just didn't want to be there.
No, but isn't it interesting how we have these dreams and these ambitions And at one point, that was like that job and what you were doing was everything.
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden, like, because your brain had switched, this is what I'm doing now, this is what I feel that should happen next, and it's not happening for you.
Yeah.
So you go back to what the dream was before, and it's not the same anymore.
No.
And it just has a completely different, viewpoint and perspective, and that's a hard place to be.
Really hard. I don't envy anyone in this situation. It's the hardest thing I've ever had to go through because it just consumes you.
I can imagine.
And all you can think about
Well, I
is...
can't imagine because I've not
Yeah.
been in that situation. I'm in that department.
Yeah,
I would say
yeah.
that's probably the one thing that I've been very blessed with.
Yeah.
But I do know clients who are going through IVF or been
Yeah.
through IVF, and I had one late last year that I've been speaking to her for a few years, and she's been trying for a while, and I got an email from her saying, I'm pregnant, the baby's due, da 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 da, and that was just like so blessed and pleased for her. But I've had other clients that have, paid so much money for IVF.
Yeah.
The amount, it's part of the financial planning. It's part of their monetary financial planning because it just costs so much
costs
money.
a fortune.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was hard, and I had a miscarriage while I was there. Finally got pregnant and had a miscarriage. And
that's not talked about enough, is it?
No.
Do you think back then it was talked about even less?
My boss was lovely, to be honest.
Okay.
She was lovely. I told her I'd had a miscarriage. She gave me paid time off.
Okay,
which
that's
was quite
good.
unusual, I think, for then.
Yeah.
And I had like 3 weeks off, which was a long
What's
time.
the HR perspective now for employers on that subject?
I think they have just changed it, haven't they? Or it's coming into play.
Yeah,
I'm not quite...
I think
Don't
they
quote
are.
me on it, but they are changing it, aren't they?
I think they should. I think it's something that is completely...
Yeah.
It's almost as women, we're expected to change our bodies, go through IVF with hormones and
Carry a lot, don't you?
menopause, and then having a baby. Like having a baby, no one told me how much that would standing there with those stupid knickers on in the toilet in the hospital.
Oh, God, yeah.
Going, I feel like an alien's just come out of my body, and
Yeah.
I'm like in a film that I should be beamed up into a spaceship. Like, what is going on?
Yeah. You all bloated.
Yeah, like, this is not my body.
No.
What is going on?
Yeah,
I feel
yeah.
sorry for Gracie, who's like helping us with this recording.
We won't put you on.
Who's like, I don't know say how old she is, but she's definitely younger than us.
Yeah.
Hasn't probably had children yet. She's laughing, shaking her head, going, "What is she on about?"
Yeah.
Yeah, like we have to go through a lot.
Yeah.
And then you've got to go through all those years of trying for a baby. Then you fall pregnant, and then you lose it. I mean, that's just devastating.
I know, because it also comes at a time when you're really... Actually, at that point, getting a bit of momentum in your career, aren't you? In your late 20s, 30s.
Yeah.
And men can carry on going.
Yeah, exactly. And you probably got statistics around that, right?
Yeah.
I know you got some notes with you today.
Got some notes, yeah.
So how does like having children and all of that affect women when it comes to their career?
It's crazy because obviously there is the gender pay gap. So we know it's currently women earn around 87 pence for every pound that men earn. But for full-time employees, the gap is smaller. But women are still more likely to be in low-paid work. Still a third more likely than men. I think that is just because, we'll come on to this, but the lack of flexible part-time opportunities at professional level. So many women end up taking something so much lower paid, lower skilled, just to get that flexibility. But I think that is the crux of it, really. It's the motherhood penalty that really sort of screws women over. Because their earnings drop so much. So they drop around 42% within 5 years of having their first child, and an average loss of £65,000 after their first child alone. And by the time a child is 20, mothers earn around 30% less per hour than fathers. And obviously that feeds then, as you probably know, into the pension pay gap.
Yes, exactly.
And it's just something that follows us around throughout our entire lives.
I was in a podcast interview the other day, Investor Insiders podcast, when it comes out, and I was looking up some statistics, and there was one very similar, and it was something like by the time their child is 5 years old, they have lost I think it was like £65,000 in earnings. Like, it's crazy.
It's ridiculous. I mean, it's a
mad.
lot.
But then I think about, so then that makes me think, like, I have this conversation with my husband.
Yeah.
And so his career has continued. So basically, my daughter's 18. I'm 46 this year.
Yeah.
So I was like 28-ish when I had her. And she... It wasn't, we were married. We were planning to have children, but not necessarily right at that second, but it was all good. It was fine. but didn't know it, the recession was coming. So she was born in 2008, and that's when the recession actually hit. I was 14 weeks pregnant, and I was a south regional manager, sales manager, and then there was a north sales manager, north and south, and we were both made redundant, and our head was put on the chopping board because I said that I was pregnant. Yeah. And it was like, that's the easiest out, get the managers out kind of thing. And she was born in the April, and the recession was officially announced like a couple of months later. So I was made redundant whilst pregnant, going through that huge change. My identity completely changed. Who I was as a bad year
as well.
Yeah, so in my situation, it wasn't that I was able to just go back into my career, go part-time or change careers or go self-employed. I really couldn't really do anything at that point because we were in a recession. If you're somebody that is not sure what to do with their finances, maybe you're working and you're not sure what to do with the bonuses you've got at work, or maybe you started a business and you've got profits and you're not sure what you should be doing to enable you to A, pay yourself more, or B, potentially retire earlier. Maybe you're somebody that's thinking about, do I overpay on the mortgage? You've received some inheritance. You've got lots of questions around your finances and what to do next. Then check out Evolution Financial Planning, who are regulated independent financial advisors and financial planners that can help you make some of those big decisions in life. And so my husband worked in IT for a bank, but they're a large bank, and then goes on to a law firm. So I didn't have a choice.
Yeah.
If it was now, it might be different. So now I might say, actually, you take the career break and I'll carry on. Yeah. And because I could walk into an employed financial advisor role with a really good basic. Yeah. And then obviously you have sales and sort of, I don't like to call it commission, but it's like client fees. You get like over a certain amount of signings, you get then monies after that. But where his peak is now, I'd have like the hours I would have to do as a financial advisor would be really, really long hours. Whereas him as a director, an IT director, because it's very much a technical role, he's more managing like people doing stuff. So from a time perspective, he'd have more time than me. So it would be a different decision as it was now. But back then, going into recession, it was that there wasn't that opportunity for me. I couldn't even get a part-time job because there were no jobs in financial services. I ended up having to work about a year later for a charity as an administrator. And it wasn't until a few years later that then I got headhunted back by my old boss, and I started working as an advisor again.
And your career sort of took off again.
And it started to take off again. And I started to work for a company self-employed, and they were micromanaging me, and they were sales management me around insurances, which I didn't like. And that's when I started 16 years ago, I started my own business. And our conversation throughout the whole piece was my husband said, well, you could go and I'll be the stay at home and you go back to work. Yeah. But because of that sort of start, he already had that shift. He already had that head start, if you like. Yeah. And then when you're in business, you know what it's like when you start a business. You don't really earn an awful lot of money for the first 3, 4, 5, maybe longer. Yeah. And then if you are the main you are the one that's mainly given the parental responsibility, my hours are not 7 till 7. My hours are not like 9 till 3. And then you might work in the evenings to catch up or weekends to catch up, right? And so you're having to do it much more flexibly. You're not able to be in London until 6 o'clock at night or go for those drinks or go for meals or go networking. The amount of events I've had to turn down, the amount of... So your opportunities are changing. It's not as easy as like, oh, you step back, Mr. Husband. I'm sort of obviously gender specific here, but the roles can be reversed. And after not a career break, but after a period of time being out of corporate, you haven't had, even if you're running your own business, it's like you almost become a bit unemployable because you've been running your own business. Going back into a corporate environment can be very difficult.
Yeah, it can.
So it's not that easy, and I completely get that even when you are in a position that you have a good career, financial advisor, you can earn good money. Yeah. You can work part-time. You can go and work for a firm and be employed, or you can be self-employed for a firm. There are opportunities, but it's still not that easy, let alone if you're, I don't know, like a receptionist or administrator, or even if you're like a clerk in a law firm or any, not necessarily an accountant, financial advisor sort of profession kind of roles, it's even harder for women because you've got then your partner who can earn more than you full time. There's not a choice.
Yeah. And I say this as someone my husband's like the breadwinner. And it's difficult because you are constantly, there's a trade, like I said, it's a trade-off, isn't it?
Yeah.
And it's like who becomes the default parent, you know?
Yeah.
And more often than not, it's the lower paid spouse.
Yeah. But obviously, at motherhood perspective, if you was to employ a nanny, employ a cleaner.
Yeah, off you go.
Excuse me. If you were going to employ dog walker, like my dog walker charges £20 an hour.
Yeah. I know. Yeah, they are.
And cleaners are like 15 to 16, £20 an hour. So it's that cost of that role.
It's the cost of going to work, isn't it?
Yeah.
And there is a cost to going to work.
Yeah, and so if you have like yourself, who was, I want to be a stay-at-home mum, I don't want to go to work. Again, there's no choice because you're like, well, that's the most obvious thing. You want to go to work, and I don't want to go to work. I want to stay at home. There's not a choice in this matter. So we're sort of between a rock and a hard place. And for me, I did want to work. I mentally could not work. So I needed to find a way that could work. So initially that was employed part-time, but I recognised that I was earning so little. It was like £11 an hour, £10 an hour. I knew based on my background I could earn more, and that's when I sort of used the opportunity to start the business. But I had to fight tooth and nail. Like, why don't you just go back and get a job in the bank? Why are you working so hard? Why, all of that, when I could just walk into an employed job. But for me, it was like, okay, what about school holidays?
Yeah.
So if you take 2 weeks at school holidays and I take 2 weeks at school holidays, we've got 2 weeks. Who's going to fill that gap? Because we don't have a network of family to fill that 2 week gap.
And then also you don't see each other. You don't spend the time as
there's
family.
no family time. So I think families are, we're really not in an easy position at all when it comes to this. And that's only getting harder because of the pay gap.
Yeah. It's difficult, isn't it? And I say this as well as a business owner and as a business that doesn't stop in school holidays. So, and you're like, oh, yeah, you would give term time jobs, but then that would mean everything would fall to me in the school holidays as well. And I've got kids. And is there anything like employers should be doing, do you think, to support families in like the way they recruit or the way that the type of jobs that they take on? I think what isn't helping is that the return to office mandate that so many organisations are
starting.
Yeah. And have been doing for sort of the past year, where it's like everyone's back in the office full time. And that's really, I think women were making progress in their careers and were doing really well and were staying in roles because they had, at least
flexible
even
working.
Flexible working, at least even a hybrid arrangement.
Yeah.
And now to suddenly be told, no, you have to be in London or Manchester or wherever you live. And people don't live really close to where they work anymore either.
Yeah.
Particularly since COVID, a lot of people move further out and it's become, it's impossible for people. And that forces so many people out of work. And I think it's a way as well for organisations to get rid of people without actually having to make them redundant.
Okay. Is that because of the way the economy is going at the moment?
Yeah.
I think? Yeah.
I think so.
Are you seeing that in your recruitment?
Yeah, because I think that, we are. I think it's been a really tough year, 18 months for recruitment and for jobs and the economy generally. So.
Yeah. You're not seeing it improve yet?
No. Unfortunately not. I think...
New tax year even, no?
No, because it coincided with the Iran war.
Right.
Which obviously puts uncertainty on businesses. Businesses don't like uncertainty generally, and it's going to raise costs for businesses. Particularly those that are in premises with energy costs. They're not protected by the price cap, like domestic households are. The new employer rights bill, that's obviously made businesses nervous.
Yeah.
And AI. Yeah. And that is just accelerating, isn't it, all the time?
And we're going to come on to AI. So carry on listening, and we're going to talk a little bit more about some of that you've just mentioned.
Yeah. Taking
it back a little bit again, just back to your story. You have 2 children.
Yes.
So tell me what happened after your miscarriage. It was obviously incredibly sad.
Yeah.
But where's the gap in between? What happened after?
So then I eventually got a job in-house because I was like, I'm going to go in-house because it's easier. And to be honest, it is easier. Have a little bit talent acquisition managers that will be like, no, it's really hard. It's a lot easier, at that point than being in a sales job where you're, targeted all the time, and the hours were better. And actually I worked in a Big Four and they had hybrid working before people even called it hybrid working, because this was pre-COVID. I was like, blimey, this is amazing. They had a gym on site.
That makes a lot of difference, doesn't it?
Because it was brilliant.
Because then you've gone from not wanting to work, hating this new sort of dynamic, to actually enjoying your job again.
Yeah, I really liked it. I think it just did me good to have a change of scene and meet new people. And there was a canteen. I felt like I'd made it, because I guess when you are one side of the fence, it's quite nice then to be the other side of the fence and being the one sold to. And so, I loved it. And so I went in-house, and I went, obviously, we're seeing doctors, and then managed to get a referral to Guy's Hospital. So we got a referral, and then we were eligible for one round of IVF. I didn't want to do it. I literally tried everything. We've been trying for like 4 years at this point. I tried everything bar IVF. So I was thinking I didn't want to do it. I was frightened.
What was you scared of?
I was frightened it wouldn't work.
Because then if it didn't work, then that'd be it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I think I felt like, in a weird way, it was safer not knowing, which is a bit weird. But I
can get that.
Yeah. It was like the finality of it. If I tried it and it didn't work, then where'd you go from there? What next?
Would you adopt or do anything like that?
Yeah, we were looking at adopting. We did go to some open evenings, and yeah, we probably would have done. But yeah, we did, because when because we had no experience of children, we went and volunteered at a scout thing. So then we make you do that, and actually that nearly put me off kids. Full stop. Probably wasn't the best way to get exposure to kids. With all these like 8 and 9 year olds, like hyper boys. And then, so we did, anyway, so we went and did IVF. It failed on the first bit, but it's like fresh and a frozen. They managed to get some embryos. And so then my daughter came from like the frozen cycle, which was so much easier than the fresh cycle. So I fell pregnant whilst I was working in-house. And they, I didn't tell everyone. I told my manager. He was really supportive. I went off and had my appointments.
Yeah.
And he was lovely. And, he was one of the first people I told when it worked. And I'll always be grateful for him for giving me the time off, no questions or anything like that. And then had her. And then...
How old is she now?
She is nearly 9.
Okay.
And I was like, literally, I felt, as soon as I had her, I just felt like I could breathe again.
Yeah. That pressure was off.
I was so tense before.
One and done.
Yeah. Well, I thought that was it. I was like, literally, I thought someone could have broken me. I was that tense.
Yeah.
Before. And
how did you work with all that
awful.
Tension?
No, I did work.
But how?
Because I didn't really have anything else to do. So I worked. I was efficient. I wasn't very smiley. Some people afterwards were like, "You were really quite a grumpy person."
So would I be?
Yeah, I was like, I was a bit grumpy really, because I had a lot going on. They were like, "You never really smiled a lot." And I'm like, "No, because I was very sad.
Nothing to be happy about.
Nothing to be happy about." I went in and worked, did my job,
went home.
That's it.
Yeah.
And then
what you wanted, you couldn't have.
Yeah.
As far as you was concerned.
So I just worked. I was a good work. Like, I was efficient. I was probably one of these.
Probably threw yourself into it even more.
Yeah, in a way. Yeah, because I didn't really have anything else. So I went, worked, efficient, came home.
Yeah.
I wasn't there really to make friends, although I did make friends. But
I find that fascinating how all of a sudden it was like, I want a baby, and that's it. Like, you went from being not on your radar, but as soon as that change happened.
Yeah, that's all you can fixate.
Yeah.
And I was very nervous, quite guarded of people, because I hated it when, people go, "Oh, I'm pregnant," like the pregnancy announcements, or seeing a pregnant person, or like really triggering, or going to social situations. And, if you went to a wedding and people are like, "Oh, are you trying?" and blah, blah, blah. And, I just have all these excuses because I'd find that people wouldn't know what to say if you then said something
about it,
said something to it. They'd be like, "Oh, my parents did this," or someone did, you know what I mean? Or it'll just happen if you relax and all that. And I hated that. And then someone said something really unkind to me. She went, "Oh, well, you're married and you've not got kids." She went, "It's like having a garden with no flowers." And you know, when people say stuff, do you can
What
remember
a
it.
terrible thing to
What a
say.
horrible thing to say. And I was like,
You just wouldn't say that.
no.
Yeah, that's not good.
People
Women can be quite harsh.
Quite insensitive.
Yeah.
So, yeah. So
I think maybe sometimes people like that are trying to be empathetic, but they just have no delivery.
yeah. So in the end, actually, I was more close to the boys I worked with than the
Yeah.
girls, because I found
Yeah.
that the girls, it just naturally,
Yeah,
the conversation always went to babies and children, whereas the men,
yeah, weren't
it never did. So I became more
A
friends
bit like
with
when
the blokes.
my husband goes out, like that skit from I forget what his name is now, and it's like, oh, how you saw Sean, how's Mary? And I don't know, I don't even know how Sean is, let alone how Mary is.
Yeah, it's like my husband. I'm like, so have they got kids? And like, yeah, I think
How
so.
many they got? Haven't got a clue.
Have they got a girl, boy? I don't know.
But you know what? I like that about men. I like the fact that their conversation, it's just about having a laugh.
Yeah.
There's nothing in depth about it sometimes. And I
Yeah.
think women, we can be a little bit too serious.
Yeah.
But having said that, I do like real deep, meaningful conversations.
Yeah.
But I think sometimes we do need to not stress so much about everything.
Yeah.
So how was your flexible working how did your decision making change from a career perspective once you had your daughter?
So I had my daughter, and I was like, do I want to be at home with her or not? And then everyone was going back to work, to be honest, that I knew in my NCT group. And to be honest, at that point, I was like, it's probably a given, I'm going back to work. And it wasn't the long hours that I had in agency either. So I put in a flexible work request. It took months and months and months for them to get back to me. I had to chase. And then like, literally, I think they meant to get back quicker than they did. And then eventually, about a month before I was due to go back, they came out and said yes. But at that point, I was like, am I going back? Because I was like, if they said no, I wouldn't have gone back.
Yeah.
What
did that flexible working look like?
Yeah, so I just put in to do 3 days a week.
Right.
So I put in 3 days a week. I thought I felt 4 was just tipping the balance too much.
Do employers have to? Like, can they just say no?
Yeah, they can say no.
So if your job's there and it's full time before and you don't want to go back full time, then they can just say no.
Yeah.
Okay.
And that would be the end of it. So
Okay. Even if they were like you wanted to job share with somebody and you had Mary in accounts would do it with you. That doesn't matter.
yeah, no, that might help. You could definitely find somebody.
Yeah.
But I didn't know anybody that
Yeah.
was sort of returning from maternity leave at the same time.
Okay.
That wanted, to job share. But yeah, that would definitely help. I know lots of people that, have been in the same department and gone on mat leave at the same time, and then kept in touch and said, oh, why don't we come back as a job share? And I always think that's perfect.
Yeah. But employers have no obligation or any like statistics or requirements or...
They have to, the obligation is now on them to say why they can't be done flexibly. So they've changed the laws recently. So the new flexible working regulations have come out. So you can make a flexible working request as soon as you're starting a new job. Normally, prior, it was like there was a qualifying period. Now you can make it straight away. I think you can make it twice a year now rather than once. And it's now the onus is on the employer to say why it can't be done rather than you saying why it could be done.
Gotcha.
But they can still say, no, it can't be done because of X, Y, Z.
Right. And so what happened for you? So you went back flexibly?
I went back flexibly, yeah. So I went back 3 days a week, but I'd found out literally just before I was got to go back that I was pregnant, which was like very random, like completely surprised.
Naturally,
because we'd got frozen embryos.
Did you relax?
I relaxed, yeah. So went
You're sitting at home doing nothing.
I know. So we went.
That's
I
not
went
what
back,
I mean. That's
but I
not
didn't
what
go back for very long. So I went back in the August and I'd finished by the January.
Amazing.
Yeah. So I didn't
A bit of a surprise.
a bit of surprise. I didn't tell work for a while. I felt a bit like sheepish.
Well, you wasn't probably expecting to fall pregnant, was you?
I wasn't expecting to fall pregnant because I had the frozen embryos still.
Yeah.
So I was like, well, we're going to use them. And then, yes, I had to tell work. I was like 20 weeks, well over 20 weeks by the time I told them.
So what did you do? Did you not go back after that second?
No, because then it was COVID.
Oh.
So then it was COVID. And then I just got made redundant then. Yeah. But to be honest, I'd been looking at working for myself again because childcare was extortionate.
Yeah.
I'd rung up and said
like a mortgage.
Oh my God, I was like, rung up, how much would it be for 2 of them? They were both, they're really close in age. And it would, it was more than the mortgage.
I hear a lot of women doing that they go back after their first, then wait like a year, make it work. And then after they've had their second, They then try for their second, and then they won't go back after their second.
Yeah.
And then they'll wait until the kids are both 5 at school, and then they will then go back to work after that.
Yeah.
But now with the free childcare going back, from age 3, going back to 9 months.
Yeah.
Do you think that more women will end up going back to work because of the free childcare?
Yeah, obviously it depends what you and your partner
It's only 30 hours, obviously.
Yeah, it's 30 hours, and it depends, doesn't it? If one of you earn over 100,000, then
I get a
you've
lot of
obviously
clients.
got decisions to make, haven't you?
I have a lot of inquiries about that, like how can I reduce my income down? Because actually, if you're in the southeast or London, I know 100 grand a year sounds like a horrendous amount of money. It's not when your mortgage is like 3 or 4 grand. Yeah.
Yeah. When so yeah, you've got a decision to make then, haven't you?
Mm. So for you, you didn't go back because of the
but
childcare
this was obviously, it was childcare because it wasn't the 9 months when I was looking. So yeah, there was that, and also I didn't know. I still didn't really feel like I wanted to put them in like a nursery 8 till 6. It didn't really sit that well.
It's a long day.
It's a long day, and it didn't really sit that well with me. Yeah. And then I found a little preschool that was in a church hall, and it was actually school hours. It was school hours, and I got made redundant, and then my daughter could start at 3 and just do mornings. And I thought, do you know what, this is perfect for me, because it feels like she's in the childcare the amount of hours I want her to be in childcare.
Yeah, rather than all day.
So she went Monday to Friday, 9 to 12, and that's really when I started my business, because I did it. And I was quite lucky, they had naps. They had quite long naps, and they've got them both napping together in the afternoon.
Perfect.
They had like 2-hour naps.
So then you're doing like 9 till 2 effectively, with a quick break in between.
Yeah, so I was doing 9 till 3, 9 till 12, picked them up, because then my youngest started them. Yeah. And then I'd put them down for a little nap, and then just go again, and then catch up again in the evening. Yeah. And actually look back, and I think that was my best, most productive work. Like, it's my most creative work. Yeah. It was really, like, when you look back,
under
I was
pressure,
like, really proud of the work I did in those hours. And actually, when they started school, and I suddenly, both of them at school, and suddenly had longer hours. Yeah. Actually, my work,
not as productive.
Probably not as creative, not quite as good.
Yeah, got it.
So yeah.
On that note, we're going to pause there. So if we release this on the Friday, and then part 2 will come out on Monday. So do subscribe to your chosen platform, and then you'll be notified of this coming out part 2 on Monday. So we're going to pause right there, and we're back with Elizabeth on Monday. If you're listening back and it's not Friday or the Monday, then skip on to the next episode, and you can carry on listening. Thanks a lot. Thank you for joining us today at Accelerating Your Wealth with your host, myself, Rebecca Robertson. I hope you enjoyed the show. Do subscribe and let us know in the comments any of your thoughts.